184 days teaching truths. I'm Carrie Allard.
I'm Kirsty Grandjean, and we're super excited to be here today talking about a new topic, right? Remember that these two ladies here have been teaching a while. I've been teaching 27 years. You've been teaching.
This is my 19th.
Right. And so we've been around the block a few times in the teaching world. Mm-hmm. And so we have a lot to say, and we're really hoping that some of you out there also have something to say today. So let's get to it. Let's talk about some interesting things that you, as a teacher, never thought you'd really say.
Oh, like the weird random sentences that you never thought would come out of your mouth. The string of letters that you should never put together into one sentence.
Kind of, yeah.
Those kind of things?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have some fun before we get into our topics.
I think it's always good to bring it around because there is some teacher humor out there that's worth sharing.
No doubt. Okay, you go first.
All right.
Okay.
So at the school I'm working at this year, we do Ron Clark houses, which means teachers and students all belong to a certain house and house color within the school. We kind of, that way builds a sense of community. And so I'm in the blue house, and that's Revere for those of you out there who are also Ron Clark aficionados. And every Wednesday we dress up in our house colors. And so I had a parent buy me for Christmas a cape and a tutu, and I thought, oh, how fun. I'm going to wear the cape and the tutu together, right? Right after Christmas break, I put both my cape and my tutu on, and I start walking, and the tutu starts going up, 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 because it's got some static cling. And I realized that I have some cape and tutu issues, and so I told the teacher next to me, I think I got some cape and tutu issues, and then I realized I really never thought I'd say that as a teacher. It's just not one of those things I ever thought I would ever say.
Not to wear your cape and tutu together?
I just, learned an important lesson that day. Do not wear a cape with a tutu at the same time.
Yeah, and she was this many years old when she learned that, so.
That's a little scary, but true.
Yeah. So I have a couple. I was going to go with a dog poop story, but I'm going to go with the milk story. Okay. So this was a few years ago in elementary school, and I was picking my class up for lunch. During that time, we had to actually help them clean their tables, and the big trash can would maybe go down the table, or the kids would come up the row with the trash. Anyway, I'm in the front of the line trying to lead my class through the chaos. And the kids have all of their food trash piled up like this, right? Mm-hmm. And we hit a traffic jam, so I had to stop for a minute. And all of a sudden, my shoe feels very, very wet and squishy. And I don't even want to know, but I have to face the horror of what is going on. And I turn around and look down. Turns out a student's milk carton was tipped forward, and his milk carton was pouring into my shoe. So my class, of course, is like, we need to go. There's a traffic jam, whatever. I never thought I would say, boys and girls, I need to empty the milk out of my shoe before we can leave the lunchroom. And those shoes did never recover. They were lovely red ballet flats.
Oh,
adorable.
Those were a one and done.
Yeah, they were kind of stinky, and I had to get rid of them.
Yeah, nobody ever wants to wear milky shoes.
No, not a milky shoe. Okay.
Yuck.
So we did have an audience member. I think this was posted on our Facebook page. Share a funny from their classroom time. So this is an AP, and a teacher messaged her and said, hey, I need a little help with this situation. Apparently a student's parent messaged them in the morning on Class Dojo, which is a little app that teachers and parents, schools use to communicate. And it was a private message. And she said, hey, I need you to be really discreet about this, but I think my child went to school with dog poop on their shoe, and I'm not quite sure what to do about it. And I need you to maybe take them somewhere and help them get this dog poop off. And the teacher was newer, and she wasn't quite sure what to do or when she was going to get this done. So she had to send that message to her AP. So I don't think that teacher ever thought she would ask her AP, what do I do about the dog poop on the student's shoe? And what do I tell the parent?
True.
So yeah,
very, very true.
Parents, be careful where your kids step on the way to school, because it can get a little messy.
Yes.
All right. So I think that's going to be enough funny for now because I think we need to make sure we're moving along to some of the serious things that people want to talk about, or at least
Absolutely.
we want to talk about.
Well, look, the show is about serious topics, but of course, there are topics we also want to talk about. So that's important to both of us, right?
Mhm. So, do you want to start this one, or you want me to start this one?
I think you need to go for it.
Okay. So, we have 2 topics we would like to talk about today. So, if you're driving home and you're considering tuning out, don't. Stay tuned in and listen to us, okay? If you're tuning in, stay because it's going to be so amazing. The first topic, I know you've been wondering, what do teachers do besides teach? And the second one is one of our favorites, near and dear to my heart. It's called interruptions. Oh my. So we're going to get some numbers and stats and talk about some of that information. So, John, would you mind pulling up the first picture, please? So this is a meme for teachers, what friends think I do, which is adorable things. I think I spend my day being adorable with children, and they're all lined up so nicely.
Oh, and what universe do you live in?
Mhm.
Oh, boy.
Now, my mom really thinks that I'm as smart as Einstein. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm pretty impressed with that. I
Well,
am not,
you
but
are,
yeah.
so there it is.
What society thinks I do? Are they hanging around in a coffee shop having a delightful time?
Yeah, I don't know what school that is, but I'd like to work there.
Is that summer break?
I believe that is summer break. Certainly not the way my room looks. No.
No. Ooh.
What kids think I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe back in the olden days.
Yeah, we definitely don't put our hands on children like Professor Snape and knock their heads together.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
No.
Despite what they may tell you, no, we don't do that.
No.
Okay.
There are rules against that, yes.
Yeah, we watch videos about it. We're going to talk about those soon.
Exactly. And then what I think I do.
Have you ever been in my room during my motivational speeches?
I gotta say, Carrie, I don't think that I have. I don't think I've been blessed with that opportunity.
Yeah.
Would you like to share?
I probably should. I should probably make them go viral because they could make a feature film about all the inspirational things that I say to my students.
Of course.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And then what I really do. Yeah, there are some days where I exactly feel like, oh my goodness, could the stack get any bigger?
Yeah, and I really do feel like my whole world does turn black and white. And I want to hide under my desk, and I'm like, I can't get it all done. It's too much for one person. Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yeah,
it is. Mm-hmm. So there it is, people.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about, though, what we really do. Okay.
Yes.
Besides the obvious, thank you very much, which is teach.
Yeah. We'd like to do that more of the teaching part. That's kind of why we work there.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of times that doesn't get to be priority number 1. So we're kind of thinking, what can we do to change that so that more teaching time does happen and less of things like interruptions and other things we're going to talk about today.
Can we do a pop quiz before we get to it?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so pop quiz.
Pop quiz.
Remember last week we said the average teacher in the United States works 54 hours, okay? So
yes.
We're reviewing. That's a little teaching strategy for you there. Okay, activating your schema, which is your background knowledge. So of those 54 hours, how many hours do teachers spend actually teaching? Like how we're doing right now, like in front of people, imparting knowledge? How many hours do you think that is? Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to guess? Any messages? Or anybody in studio who didn't see our notes? 4 hours a day? 4 hours. So what, 20 hours a week? Okay. Anybody else?
Closer to 60.
Closer. So we work 54 a week on average. So how many hours of the 54 are we actually teaching?
How can you teach more than number?
Directly involved with the learning, imparting the knowledge. 3. Okay. So John, can you pull up the graphic? I think 2. So, I think I lost my numbers on my chart. Hold on. Technical difficulties.
53 and 46.
Okay. So it's 25 hours spent actually teaching. So in front of students, but 29 hours of the 54 not teaching. Okay. So we're going to dig into the not teaching part. And we're going to talk about ways that teachers spend their time. And it might be shocking and surprise you. Okay.
Or not.
Or not.
If you're a teacher out there, you're going, yeah, that's me.
Okay.
All right.
So we ready to dive in a bit?
I think we are.
Okay.
I think I'm ready to talk about what teachers do besides teach. All right, let's tackle the top one, which is 5 hours grading and providing feedback to students through their work. So on average, about 5 hours a week is spent providing that feedback, right? Whether it be through grades and writing notes or giving kids actual conversation and conferencing to discuss.
But wait, isn't the average school day when you're with students like 6.5 hours?
Yes.
Our contract's 7 hours, 14. But if you think about it, so 5 hours is almost equivalent to how much time students spend in school a day, just us a week grading and looking at their work and giving them like written feedback or typing it in. You know, I know middle school's a little savvy with Canvas and typing stuff in, whatever. But
my people don't know.
Right. Just giving feedback to students. Okay.
Right, exactly. So the next one, it's 5 hours planning or preparing. Like I go in every day. My contracted day starts at 8:00, but I'm usually there by 7. And I am planning or preparing materials for the lessons that I'm going to teach that day. I don't get paid to do that because my pay starts at 8:00, but I know that if I don't get there and set up and plan and prepare ahead of time, I'm not going to be ready for the day, right?
Mhm.
And I don't have time, that precious teaching time. I don't want to give that up to like have to get things in the ready.
Right. So that we're up to 10 hours right now of things that don't have to do with us being in front of the students, right?
Yes.
And these are important things. We're not knocking them, right?
Right.
I could
Absolutely.
spend the rest of my life planning and preparing. I love to be organized and do the research, but we're talking 10 hours. So 25 hours of teaching plus we're up to 10 hours, that's 35. And remember, we've learned from previous shows that in our particular district, we're paid for about 36 hours.
Yes.
So now we've almost hit that mark where we're actually paid. And these things are not unreasonable, right? It's not unreasonable to grade, give feedback, plan, and prepare.
No,
absolutely not.
Not
right?
at all. Mhm.
And if you're wondering where these stats came from, they came from Education Week. It's a recent article published, was it 2022? Yeah, 2022. So it's pretty recent. Do you want to talk a little bit about planning or preparing? Like some teachers use or assigned a teaching program like a reading or a math, right?
Sure.
So are those programs like the games and things, are they all like handed to you like ready to go?
No.
No,
there's always teacher prep work involved in most areas that you teach, right? Whether it be reading, there may be materials that I need to have organized and set out. If there are sheets that we're going to use, like a worksheet, I need to make sure that those are either copied or ripped out of the books, because I have first graders who can't rip pages out without ripping the entire page in half. So all of these things take time, right? Plus, a lot of times these days, because you want to be tech savvy, you have maybe some slides that help assist you in going through the lessons, but you need to make sure that all of those materials are prepared and that on your computer you have all those tabs open, right? Because a lot of times you're using technology to teach with, and so you've got to have all your materials set up virtually, right? So that you can just kind of click through, but then you also need to have the paper pencil materials ready.
Have you ever accidentally closed all of the tabs on your computer? Like you click the X and you're like, no.
No, that would be twice last week. There are times where you just have words in your head you can't say,
but they're in your thought bubble.
Oh, they're on fire. It's like fire in your thought bubble.
All right. And
not
then
good.
Thinking about our students are at all different levels, right? So sometimes we have to tweak lessons, just one lesson in 3 or 4 different ways to meet the needs of those students. And that takes time.
Yeah.
And we're not knocking it. It's important stuff.
Oh, for sure. Because like I'm thinking of today, we were working on a math concept and I had about a third of my students just really struggling with that math concept. And so I needed to pull them and work with them separately than the rest of the group. But to do that, I have to have materials in the ready for them to be able to use, right?
Mhm.
And I have to kind of know those students and where they're having mistakes so that I can assist them. And so all of that takes time, looking at their previous work, making sure that I have the materials ready for them to be able to work.
All right. So there's quite a list here of things that teachers do that aren't actually in front of students, right?
Yes.
So what's this next one? Administrative work?
Yeah, let's delve into that one after we take a break.
Most business owners struggle with the following issue. How do I brand my business to get noticed? Double Eight Design Studio helps businesses by designing brands that boost confidence, look and feel timeless, stand out from the competition, and attract all the right clients. Whether you are in need of a new brand, upgraded design elements, or completely redesign your current brand, Double Eight Design Studio has fully customized packages for your business. Call Chelsea McKendrick at 702-525-3334 and visit www.double8designstudio.com. Let Double Eight Design Studio give you a brand new outlook for your business.
All right, welcome back. 184 days teaching truth.
All right. So before the break, we were talking a little bit about what teachers do besides teach. And we just had started talking about general administrative work. And about 3 hours a week is spent on general administrative work that doesn't have anything to do with teaching. Let me kind of give you a couple of
Oh,
examples.
please tell me more.
Like you don't know.
Mm.
All right. So turning in forms for clubs. Clubs are always ongoing at elementary, middle, and high school. So teachers are always having to manage all this extra paper that really doesn't have anything to do with teaching. But hey, can you pass out this? And then you get handed more forms than that you have to make sure kids get. Attendance verification that happens once a month, where you have to go through and look at all of the times that kids were either tardy or absent, and you have to make sure that they are correct to the best of your knowledge. Go through, click on a form, fill out that form via Google, and then you send that in. Maybe there are various flyers for different fundraisers for don't forget picture day for the 14th time. It just depends on what materials you're putting in their boxes. So that's just a few.
Wait a minute. I thought, are these schools or community centers? Am I here to teach or am I here to pass stuff out?
Well, it depends on the day, but I think you're contracted to teach, but they don't put this. This is the other duties as assigned.
Oh my gosh. Let's get to my favorite one. Okay. So professional development, as in voluntold to watch required videos.
Oh no teacher in the world has to do that for 20 hours or more.
Right. So I think our latest from the beginning of this year, I think the watch time was like 5.5 hours.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know when I'm supposed to squeeze that in. And then
no, during your prep time that you're planning lessons and grading papers. Yeah.
Oh, but wait. Do you sometimes get voluntold to sub though? Do you have to sell your prep and sometimes it's your turn to sub in another teacher's class who's out?
So I'm going to tell you that there are opportunities at our school at times when there aren't enough substitute teachers. I know some other teachers have that. At other times, like they're voluntold that. Some teachers pick that up if they want to. There are other schools where they split classes and you have extra students. That kind of thing happens. So yeah, that can take away your prep time. I know in middle and high school that happens a lot. Teachers are constantly selling their preps because they're wait a second. Did you know there's a teacher shortage out there?
What?
I know.
Why would somebody want to do this job? Doesn't this sound delightful? Oh my goodness. We're up to what? 13, 16, 18 hours? I'm not even sure anymore.
Oh, I don't know. I stopped counting after you said 13.
Yeah.
So, or like you're taking care of all your emails. There is like the laundry list of emails when you open your inbox every morning, and you have to take care of that. Plus you have to prepare for the kids. Plus you gotta, somebody stops by and wants to talk to you. So we can just keep adding plus. But you know what? That's okay, because don't worry, you've got surveys. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, how many surveys have you answered this year?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I have another one sitting in my inbox. I haven't taken care of it yet.
And I don't know about you, but I've talked about this before. I do take parent communication seriously. So I need to be in a space where I can provide them information and not just respond back with something that wasn't well prepared. I want to make sure I use Grammarly. Should I say that? Is that a free ad? I don't know. Anyway, I want to make sure that it sounds polite, respectful.
Yeah.
I spell things correctly. I explain things clearly. And that stuff does take some time. And sometimes you do have to that adds on to your after work load, the things that you do that don't happen obviously with students in the room. How could I possibly even focus on that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite one, though, ladies and gentlemen, is when you have something you need to print. And
What?
all B, your printer doesn't work.
Do
You
you
ever had that one happen?
Do you have a printer in your room?
I do, but
Oh.
let me just tell you,
Lucky.
there are times where, I don't know, in my teaching career, my printer just went kaput or had an error or a
Mhm.
paper jam, and you're like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. I have like 3 minutes to print this and go to the copier, and I can't get it done, right? So, of course, that always, can be a little bit irritating, frustrating.
Can we have a sidebar and I can talk about a funny story with the copy machine?
Of
once?
course,
Okay.
copy machine stories are everyone's favorite.
I wish I actually had a picture of this. I didn't know it was going to come up because we were just talking about it. But the copy machine, I don't know if anybody knows, but they have attitudes and you need to treat them nice and speak to them in gentle tones. When you're
remember
in a
copy
hurry,
machine
yeah.
that may have been needed some little
Some
TLC.
love, yeah.
Yes.
So when you're in a hurry and you really want to go home after school and it's late, do not give your copy machine attitude or let it know that you're in a rush, because then it will stop copying and you'll think you're helping the people that work in the office that come to replenish the toner or the ink, and you take out the waste toner box.
Oh no.
And you thought it was a different box and you shook it like you saw
Oh,
other
no.
people did. They modeled for me and I was just doing what they did. And the lid wasn't on it and the black powder went everywhere, all over the copy machine. And they had to have a special person from a special company come in with special tools and clean the entire thing inside and out. And it was down for a few days and it was all my fault.
Oh, and you know what happens to teachers who break the copy machine?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Nobody was my friend.
You don't get the heart, I love you in your box.
Okay.
Death stares, yes.
Yeah. And
you made their life harder.
They may have put my picture in the yearbook as a joke to pay me back, of me standing by the copy machine with the black powder everywhere. Okay. I think our producer is trying to get our attention. Hold on. We good?
Don't bang the table.
Oh, I'm sorry. I banged the table. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to play a little game called In My Control and Not in My Control.
Okay, that sounds
Are you
like
ready?
I am
Okay,
ready.
so this is a game I brought for you. Look at these little
Okay.
handmade popsicle stick games. This is what we do in our class. All right. So here we
Wow,
go.
and you even color coordinated the popsicle sticks.
And they're not green because I'm not allowed to bring anything green here.
Yeah.
So
That
I'm
was last
following the
week's
rules.
lesson. Last week's lesson.
Okay, so I'm going to give you something that a teacher may have to do, and you have to decide if it's in your control to do this or not in your control.
So
Okay?
hold on a second. This is in my control.
Yeah.
Not in my control.
Right.
Got it.
Okay.
I'm ready.
So, did we talk about collecting money for fundraisers and turning it in by the end of the day before the office manager goes home?
That is not in my control.
Not at all. What if you didn't even sign your kids up for the field trip, but it's like a field trip from another class and people are sending money to you because they think you're the organized one? Yeah, don't send it to me because I'm a mess. All right.
Don't worry, Carrie, they will anyway.
Those required documents, like official documents from like maybe your state education department, where you have to type in certain requirements that go on grade level to grade level, and it can take quite a bit of time.
That is not in my control.
Right.
I cannot say no to that.
And they're important. We're not saying they're not.
Right. But
But-
like in my day, where does that fit?
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Let's see. School committees.
Oof.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm going to put both.
Mhm. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Okay. It's in my control for which one I choose. It's
Mhm.
out of my control when they meet
True.
or how many committees I'm actually on. I have a friend who's on like almost every committee, so that's like
Wow.
12. Yeah.
Impressive.
I know. She is impressive. What can I say?
Right. Okay. So there's some control
That is
over
not
that.
me. In and out of my control, depending on.
Okay.
Okay.
What about this one? Let's see. Collaborating and planning with your colleagues.
Ooh. I don't know. That one, I'm going to go both again
Mm-hmm.
because who I plan with may be in my control. When we all get to meet might be out of my control because it might be on the common prep that we all have together, which then, that's the only time we have. I don't get to really control that.
Okay. And that actually, it says here, according to Newsweek, 2 hours a week. Teachers spend planning with their colleagues, which I'm not knocking. It's also important. I love to collaborate, but those hours start adding up, right?
It does.
Yeah. Okay. How about this? What about non-curricular activities like sports and clubs and after school kinds
That's
of
in my
things?
control.
Yes.
Like if I choose to do that or not do that, that is absolutely in my
Mhm.
control. And we do have a lot of teachers where I work that, volunteer to do that and they love it. So of
Mhm.
course they want to do that. And why not?
Right. It's like a passion project.
Absolutely.
I definitely noticed coming from elementary to middle school that that's really big in middle school. And I think that's super cool. And there's so many things that I'm interested in, but I feel like they already have a club for that. So I don't want to compete, so I got to come up with something new and unique. I'm not sure what that is yet.
Well, that'll happen soon.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, when we were talking about parents and guardians, it's actually says in here, the average teacher spends 2 hours a week communicating with them.
Wow. Well, it depends on how many students you have. How many
Mhm.
students do you have?
Over 200.
Okay. So I have 16. So I
Mhm.
think that varies by teacher.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about we're looking at an article that looks at overall teaching, right?
Right. In the nation, right?
For
and
sure.
I know this article, Business Insider, a teacher had a really good quote. She said, it's not just about the act of like emailing the parent back, it's also how it rolls around in your mind.
Sure.
And the time that you spend actually thinking about your response, especially if you know there's some kind of challenge or issue going on and you want to be sensitive and maybe the parent is upset about something and you're trying to de-escalate that situation.
Sure.
And we know, like in this world of like everything going viral, that anything you say or do can last forever. So I know I'm very
Carrie,
careful.
here it is.
Yeah, with that. Except for on this show, I just
No,
run my
don't.
mouth and say things. But
Man, you said it first. So
Right.
there it is.
So I am really careful about those kinds of things. But I actually felt better when a teacher from another state said that the emails and the contact with parents and the responses do roll around. They take
Sure.
up space in her mind.
Absolutely.
So I don't know if that 2 hours
and
is
that would be smart as an educator to do that
Right.
because you don't want to miscommunicate.
Right.
For sure.
Let's see. In your control or out of your control? Oh, emailing other teachers or administration.
That is in my control.
Okay.
The
Explain your
time
thoughts.
that I decide to do that, like when I decide to do that, and how often I will email. Now, if I'm replying to an email that is time sensitive, then that would be out of my control.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just send me back when you get a chance, that's in my control.
Right. What is the worst email ever, like from your admin? Could you think of? What could the subject be like?
Oh. Well,
come to my office, AP.
Yeah.
ASAP right now.
No, actually, so this didn't happen to me, but it did happen to a teacher a while back at a school I worked at. The administrator came to me. I was a strategist at the time, and she said, "I need you to go cover Miss So-and-so's class for a few minutes." And the look on the administrator's face was not one of positivity. And so I go, okay. I'm like, I feel like I'm walking into the lion's den. So I walk into the teacher's room and the teacher sees me and then the face just like melts. I'm all,
Oh.
Yeah. So I say, hi, I'm here to cover your class for a few minutes. And the teacher just like looks at me, looks down at the floor and walks out the door.
Oh.
And then they come back like 5 minutes later and it was not pretty.
Mhm.
And I think that's really hard as an educator. People may tell you things that are really like, you have to have a minute to digest and they're like, okay, now go back and teach again. And you're like, I'm sorry, I need time to process this big thing that you just put in my lap.
Right.
And they don't. They're like, oh yeah, good luck. Finish your day out. Don't forget to be positive. Smile.
Right. So those are hard when or you're not sure why somebody needs to see you.
Yes.
Or multiple people need to see you. They're like, we need you to come up right away on your prep. And you're like, what is happening?
Right. And that one is definitely out of my control. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have one more before we go to break.
Okay.
So sometimes when we don't have enough custodians and we need to vacuum our rooms.
That one is out of my control because I have to tell you, I have a vacuum parked actually in my classroom,
Mm-hmm.
Just for those occasions.
Yeah.
Because I tried wearing the big vacuum, the pack vac,
Mm-hmm.
and that was Okay, so I almost fell over. So that's not good for me.
Right.
I can do the push vacuum all right.
Uh-huh.
So I do keep a vacuum in my classroom because there's a shortage of custodial staff as well.
Yep.
And that permeates a lot of schools these days. So teachers are taking that job on as well when necessary to wipe things down, disinfect and to vacuum because, well, who wants to sit on a dirty floor?
Well, nobody. And we care
No.
about our kids and we want to make sure the room is clean and organized. So sometimes, yes, that will be something that we have to do that has nothing to do with teaching. Right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you for playing that game. It was
Oh,
fun
of course. And
insightful.
thank you for your fabulous sign.
Yeah, they may make it come back. Okay, so we're
Of course
gonna
they
go
will.
to break. Right, producer? Yeah. Break.
All right. Thank you for
Okay.
watching 184 Days Teaching Truths. We'll be right back.
Hi, my name is Edgar Alejandro. I'm the co-founder of Rising Again Productions. So we've been here in Vegas producing films for the past couple of years, and we've seen our fair share of studios. We worked in our fair share of studios, and to be honest, WWDBTV has been our favorite by far. John is so welcoming. The space is wonderful. It's perfect for what we need. We've had rehearsals here, we've had callbacks here, we've had table reads here. So if you're a Vegas creative, or really just a creative coming into Vegas, definitely check out this space, chat with John. I think you'll find that this studio has everything that you'll need as well.
And we're back. My name is Christy,
I'm Carrie.
and this is 184 Days Teaching Truths. Today we're talking about interruptions.
John, can you put up picture 4, please? Thank you. I love a good meme. I don't know about you, but
When your classroom is a revolving door of interruptions and you're just trying to make it through your lesson. I think that was me last week.
yeah. And speaking of the 25 hours that we get with our students teaching, right? Face to face or whatever that looks like. We need to talk about interruptions, and we're not talking about the ones that happen within the classroom with the students who are already there. That's a topic for another show.
Oh yeah, those are called behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
This has not, we're not talking about behaviors here. We're talking about external interruptions to the classroom. You're in there, you're with your kids, you are getting on, grooving with your lesson,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden, beep, Miss Grandjean.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah. I would say that's probably my number one teaching pet peeve.
It's hard
Uh-huh.
because you are like, you're in it, you're learning, the kids are with you, you have them like at the edge of their seats, and then all of a sudden they're like, whew, free time.
Yeah. And I find myself saying, and it was interesting because the article is ASCD.
Yes, it's through ASCD.
So I find myself saying, okay, why am I here? I come here to teach, right? I come here so that I can help students learn and grow. And so if I keep getting interrupted, I can't do the thing that I came here to do, right? And the article talks about when teachers are constantly interrupted in their classroom externally, usually staff members coming in, right? Or the phone call or the announcements, whatever. It makes teachers start to feel like what they're doing with their students, that work is not that important to other people.
The value is diminished when there's something else that's always more important than what it is you're trying to do with the students, right?
Mhm.
And the author of the article, The Hidden Cost of Classroom Disruptions, his name is Matthew Kraft. He's the one who did some research on this, and he talks about that even if your interruption is short, let's say it's like 20 seconds, that is not the end of the interruption, because by the time you now have to get everybody back, remind them what you were learning of, and get back into the groove of teaching again, it's actually a full 78-second average. So even though you might think, you hear beep, Miss Grandjean, Johnny's going home from school early today. Please make sure he has his backpack and his lunch bag and his jacket and all the things that he needs, please, and send him to the office. Well, that may have taken, 10, 15, 20 seconds to say, but now you have to wait for Johnny to get his stuff. You want to teach again, but you're going to wait for at least 78 seconds to really get back into it, not because you want to wait that long, but because it takes that long to get all your people back together, focused again on the learning.
Mhm.
So last week, I wear these really fancy tags. Like, I don't know about you, but teachers have multiple lanyards. I have 3.
Mhm.
I always worry about getting choked by them. But anyways, that's a whole nother story.
That's
So like I have all these things hanging around my neck and I'm like, right, I don't want that to happen. So on one of them, I put a sticky note. And then every time someone came through the door, I would put a little tally mark.
Mhm.
And I tallied up one day 10 interruptions, another day 12 interruptions. And if the 78 seconds is like the, average, wow, we were looking at, about 15 minutes or more of time lost in instruction just from, different interruptions of people coming through my room
Mhm.
or the announcement or phone call or whatever it was. And it wasn't the kids and I, it was other people coming around or calling in to my room.
So I don't know if this happens to you, but usually if somebody's leaving early, like there's an announcement, then there's a commentary that goes on. And some people like to narrate, everything that the person's doing. Hey, look, you're grabbing your bag. Oh, don't forget your lunch. Hey, where are you going? Da, 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 da. Okay. And it takes forever to get everybody regrouped. Okay, now let's focus. And you start going, and then another interruption. And you're just like, I just can't anymore.
And so you look like the meme, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the thing is like once you go through a couple of external interruptions and then someone goes, gotta go to the bathroom, and you're like,
oh my gosh.
I'm done.
Yes.
I'm done. I'm like, I'm ready to rip my hair out. And that's unfortunate, right?
Yeah.
So is there anyone out there in TV land that wants to share something about interruptions that they experience? See if we can get any callers, any friends out there. The phone number, if you want to call, because you love to talk to both Carrie and I, we are very personable people. It
I'm a
is,
delight.
aren't you? Of course.
Yeah.
702-992-3207. Call in and talk to us for a few minutes. Share some interruptions that maybe you experience regularly that, gosh, if that were somehow handled differently, or what else could we do to solve how long interruptions last?
And actually, according to the article, it said that they did a study on, I think it was 60 secondary schools, and it happened 2019 into 2022.
So pandemic-y-ish.
Right. Providence Public School District in Rhode Island. Okay. I guess they worked with Merrimack College. They sent some students and researchers there, and they documented interruptions. They came up with 15 interruptions an hour. That was the average. And this is secondary.
Yeah.
15 interruptions in a day.
In a day.
My bad. Losing, how many minutes did they say that they lost of instructional time? And then we have notes on that.
Well, I think that the author talks about this thing called the snowball effect, right?
Mhm.
So it's not just happens every once in a while where it's like this one-off. It's a fairly consistent interruption
Mhm.
that occurs daily. And ultimately, by the end of the school year, you're looking at between 10 and 20 days of lost instruction when you look at it cumulatively, right? So over time, you're looking at almost 2 to 4 weeks of lost instruction throughout an entire school year, all because of these things that we think, oh, that's just a second. Oh, that's not gonna bother the teacher very long.
Mhm.
Oh, I'll just stop by for a minute.
Mhm.
Right. But if you've ever been a teacher for even a hot minute, substitute teacher, classroom teacher, you know that the minute somebody walks in your room and starts talking to you and you are no longer teaching, your students decide that is the best time ever to do things that you don't like.
Mhm.
Right?
Right. No matter how great your classroom management is, no matter how engaging your lesson is.
And Carrie, your classroom management is excellent.
Yeah.
Just want to say.
Well, I would say the same to you for sure.
Until I've walked through your door.
We know what's going on. Okay. We know how to do things.
And it's not that we don't see the children and what they're doing. They think we don't.
Right.
And that somehow we go deaf and blind during the conversation with someone else.
Right. We just need to pick our battles because we need to get the lesson also back on track because we
Right.
are very aware that this is taking a lot of time.
For sure.
So the article states that the researchers estimated 3.5 minutes of instructional time is lost each hour of the school day. So that adds up over time, right? To the
Yes.
10 to 20 days.
That snowball
missed.
effect.
Okay. But teachers say, no, we think it's more like 6 to 6.5 minutes
Yeah.
because of trying to pull everybody back before you completely have everybody back together, right?
Absolutely.
And then principals, when they were surveyed, many times admin, they just aren't aware of how disruptive it is. And they estimated that admin was actually thinking it was less. They were thinking it was more like maybe 2 minutes a day, and it wasn't that big of a deal. Right. And
Right.
so if teachers don't speak up and bring this problem to the attention of their admin, it's just going to continue, because 10 to 20 lost school days, wouldn't your kid get a letter if they missed 10 to 20 days of school for not being there?
I believe at 20, they can even start the idea of retaining your students. So, but isn't that powerful? That's powerful information, both for teachers and for parents and people who make decisions for educators, that, hey, take a look. We think they're there to teach, but what is it that they're doing that has nothing to do with the actual act of teaching? And, as you brought up, 25 hours a week are actual teaching hours, and 29 hours for teachers have nothing to do with standing in front of students, actually educating them, right? There are other important things, don't get us wrong, but when you're looking at what a teacher actually does during the week, these are important factors, and we want to increase that amount of teaching time in front of students, not decrease it anymore.
Right. And that I was honestly surprised when they put that number 25 out there. And of course, I mean, I know this, I spend time in school every day. I know how many hours I'm there, and I have with my students, but 25 hours seems like gold. Like, you don't want anything to interfere with the magic that is happening, because our goal is to help kids learn and to grow them, right?
I call it prime time in my room. I'm all, when the teacher's on, it's prime time.
Exactly.
Right? That's our time. We're like, don't interrupt us. We're in the groove. We've got to learn these concepts, and it's really hard to learn things in bits and pieces and chunks. So here's a fun thought. Most teachers have been through professional development, and they usually have a professional development day, right? And if you've ever been a presenter of these professional development days, you experience this thing called the sidebar that your participants are joining into at various times. Carrie, you would never have done that to me ever, I know. Just saying, maybe once or 5 times. Anyways, so...
Sorry.
You can apologize now, but it happened in the past, man. So you would have never had sidebars.
Go on. I'm listening now.
Right. So then you provide teachers with like a task, something they're going to practice, or an activity that they're going to do to kind of practice the thing that you're trying to get across, this teaching. And they go, well, what'd she say? And so now what happens is they stop somebody else's learning. They interrupt someone else, say, what am I supposed to do now?
And it's a chain reaction.
And it's and then you watch it like bounce around the room. So it's not just kids who have this interruption problem, right? It's teachers as well. And so we do that. And I know I'm guilty of this next one. It's a thing called quiet think time. We all need it in order to be able to read and think and process information. And when you give children quiet think time, whose voice should also be off? Yeah, that'd be me.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just can't help it. You're like, remember, boys and girls, and then word vomit. Blah, 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 blah.
That's one of your favorite phrases. I was waiting for it. There it is.
There it is. Hey, if I don't use it at least once a show, there's just, what can I say?
Yeah, there we go.
So instead of like giving them the think time, you give yourself more talk time.
And teachers, we don't need any more talk time.
I know I hear myself talk a lot, so I probably need to stop, give the children some time to think. So that's also considered an interruption, right? Because if I'm interrupting their think time, then there you go.
Well, yeah. And I know these things are important. Like, somebody filled out a field trip form and they forgot to fill out one part, and we need to get that part taken care of right away, right? But at the end of the day, there's nothing more important, I don't think, as the teacher than the 25 golden hours on average that you have to help your students learn and grow, right?
Oh, for sure.
So I would like to come up with a new plan for how we handle those things, like even more of a visual board or something, because sometimes I have a very active class. We do a lot of hands-on, and it can get noisy in there. And so the announcements we don't always hear.
Yes.
So then I have to go to the phone and call and see what was going on. Okay. Unless it's emergency, then our screens do flash and we know what's going on there. But it would be nice if we had like a message board or a light that would flash to signal, hey, we need you to pay attention to this. But if schools could come together and generate criteria like this is important enough to interrupt instruction. And if it's not, how could it be handled differently?
For sure.
So we're not dealing with trying to get kids back on track, because again, these are interruptions we're talking about that have nothing to do with behavior in the classroom. They're not happening starting within the classroom. They
Absolutely.
are external people coming in, sometimes kids coming in late or other staff members that need to contact us for certain things.
For sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember at one school I worked at, they would take care of all of the flyers that needed to go home, and we would have what's called a Friday folder.
Mhm.
And in that Friday folder would go all the flyers that children would need on one day. So parents didn't have to go digging around in the backpack every day looking for, oh, did you get a new flyer? Oh, is this a new permission slip? Oh, you're going on a field trip. That it would be organized in such a way that only one day out of the week, the teacher would have to put the flyers inside the box, right? And that was really helpful because it didn't eat up time every day for me to put all of those flyers in their mailboxes or in their Friday folders. So I have to say that's an easy fix for some schools if you can organize your flyers that you're going to put out. I know a lot of schools are going more digital now, and they post it on their dojo apps. But a lot of schools still use paper flyers to go home. And wouldn't it be nice if it was just all at one time? Like that's an easy way to get precious minutes back, because we're talking about minutes over time that really add up.
For sure. So, and 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, you're passing out flyers, 25 minutes that you could have been,
Doing
using
something else other than
something else.
passing out flyers.
Right.
So, one thing I did notice, though, is that Matthew Kraft was like the only guy who's really done a lot of research in interruptions in classrooms. And one of the other ways we can find out more information is to have more research done on the impact of these external interruptions. So we could probably see some good research out there. And if you, as teachers out, in your classrooms and in your schools, collect some data for us, it's not necessarily scientific. Obviously, having a sticky note on my tag wasn't exactly scientific, but it would be good to see. You'll start to realize, gosh, I didn't even recognize how often I'm interrupted, and how often do I have to bring my kids back around, and maybe finding creative solutions as a staff or a school to solve some of that and reduce the amount. We all know it's not going to be, zero interruptions.
Of course.
That's just never going to happen in an elementary school, middle school, or high school. But if we could even reduce that number a little bit, think about the implications for teachers with that prime time, golden 25 hours of teaching. We could actually increase that.
Ooh,
I know.
that would be amazing.
Wouldn't it? Because we all know that we'd like to have more time to teach.
So if you come up with anything, your school comes up with a creative solution, if you already have something in place at your school, we would love to hear more about that.
Yeah.
So please comment on our YouTube channel in the comments under this show, 184 Days Teaching Truths. You can also comment on our Facebook page, same name, 184 Days Teaching Truths. We are definitely open to helping teachers and schools come up with solutions, because we know these are challenges that all of us are facing, right? And this isn't a show just about, complaining and admiring the problem. We're trying to make some changes and just help people understand some of the challenges that we face as teachers, because we all have background knowledge on school and teaching, right? You've been to school, you know somebody who's been to school, you have an opinion about school, right? So let's try to make it a positive and make it better, for sure. So do we have a preview of our next topic? I think our next show is February 6th, right?
It's the first
Tuesday
of the month. Yes. So
yeah, 4 to 5
absolutely.
Pacific time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea? Are we going? Do we know we're going with yet, or we're gonna kind of wait on that?
I think we've delved into a couple of topics that we're looking at some research on
Mhm.
for sure. Do you have one in particular you like?
Well, I'm not sure, but we're playing around with perhaps talking about grading.
Yeah, that one's deep. Grading is touchy, isn't it?
It's juicy. You definitely want to be here for that one.
Well, that's one way to put it. I think Carrie and I both have some different ideas about grading as well, especially when you're talking about an elementary school, type of grading, middle school type of grading, and also there's just the way that maybe the community at large sees grading, right? Grades can tell parents certain things that may or may not be true about their student, and so.
Yeah.
It's a touchy topic for sure. There's a lot of research out on grading. I know that many times you hear this buzz term called grading reform, and so maybe we need to touch on that as well.
Yeah.
Grading reform. What does it mean? And I know a lot of teachers hear about grading reform and, oh, wait, we have required videos on grading reform.
I love
Don't
required
worry.
videos, and the quizzes at the end are my favorite.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me just tell you, I had to take one just a week ago. I was drinking coffee Sunday morning with my Chihuahua, and we were doing another required training. Yeah, and you had to get 8 out of 10 questions right. Yes, I made it.
Oh,
I
good.
got my 8
Oh,
out
good.
of 10 questions. But for sure, you're always having to do something. And when you think you're done with your required videos, don't worry, people. You are not. I got 2 more.
My favorite questions on the required videos are the double negatives.
Oh,
Which one
yes.
is not true or
Right.
or not false or whatever it is that they're trying to say to me, and then I get it all twisted up, and that's the only reason why I get it wrong, because I completely know what's going on, okay? But they made the question very confusing. So, not cool.
Or
All right.
choose more than one, but they don't say how many to choose.
Yeah, give me a hint at least. Jeez. Yeah.
We are watching these on our own time.
Seriously. And then upcoming shows, just, if you're planning ahead, we are looking to have some guests on our show, some administrators, so we can talk about if there's really a divide or a secret war between teachers and admin.
Or,
dun, dun.
or is that all made up?
Yeah. Who put that out there anyway? That's not cool.
Or does it depend on where you work?
You definitely want to tune in for that one too.
Yeah, that one's another one of those touchy topics.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Carrie's going to handle that well.
Yeah, it'll be great. I won't have any attitude. I won't pout or have any kind of grudge
Right.
whatsoever at any point in the show.
That is so not true.
Okay,
Start telling the truth. It's teaching truths, Carrie. Come on, man.
Okay, so our next show is Tuesday, February 6th, 4 o'clock. We have a YouTube channels. Please subscribe. 184
Yes.
Days Teaching Truths. We have a Facebook page. You can leave us messages. Only nice ones. We don't read the mean ones, just so you know.
That's
There's a
kinda
mean
true.
filter on there, and those get cut out. Our focus here is to be informed, not just opinionated. We want to make sure that people are developing an understanding of what it's like to be a teacher in the United States during these modern times. Obviously, we're throwing in a lot of humor and a lot of things that we've experienced, but we hope that everybody is getting something out of it, and we would like the audience to participate with us more.
Yes,
Please
absolutely. We want you to watch us live so that you can participate, because those of you out there in TV land, we all know you have opinions. We all know you have experiences that are worth sharing. So, please consider watching us from 4 to 5 Pacific time. So tune in. Make sure that you are a person who is informed and not just opinionated, right? And so, unlike Carrie, who sometimes is both.
No.
And both informed and
I
opinionated.
am always informed. I always have numbers and stats to back up what I say.
Yeah, that is true. And we do look for national research. So.
Yes, we try to pick reputable websites, as we would expect our students to do as well. So yeah, if you have any good research for us, any good stats, please send it to us. But we're going to sign off now because it's been a long day, and we'll see you on February 6th.
Yes.
All right.
All right.
See ya.
We'll talk to you later.
Thanks.